Hello everybody. Welcome back for another video. Hope you're all doing great. Hope you're all doing fantastic. And that you're all having an absolutely wonderful day. Don't forget to follow me on Facebook and on Twitter. There are links in the description below. And without any further ado, let's jump right into it. A lot of very interesting things constantly popping up on a near daily basis. I'll tell you a little story. I was recently having dinner. Actually last night, with a friend. We were out, and as much as we tried to be normal in any given way, I think it took no more than 7.5 minutes. And we were talking about crypto and the markets and where we expect things to go over the course of 2025. Obviously all bullish, but we were trying to put things into an actual context of where do we go from here? Because the news has been substantially incredible. Over the course of the last few years, once again, having a daily cryptocurrency news channel, you think you've seen it all. Because a lot of the news that we're getting now is astronomical. You've heard me certain days where I say it's really weird that people are so blasé about what happens in the market, how anyone could lose an ounce of interest when Bitcoin drops by $3,000 in a day. I told you, people, you can tell that the interest wanes and people get depressed and they don't really know what's going on. And it's like, you don't understand how far we've actually come and where we're currently going. This is expected to be, and I mean just in general, and I mean an absolutely amazingly, fantastically incredible bull run, just based off of Bitcoin scarcity alone. When you tie everything else into it, this for me is going to be the year of years, if I can really put it in that sort of way. Between the adoption levels, the buying by the ETFs, the buying by countries, and the other countries who apparently, if you've missed a couple of videos, it looks like in the next month or two, we are probably going to begin hearing from countries directly saying, hey, we are buying Bitcoin, yada, 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 that kind of thing. A number of states have come forward announcing that they're buying it. The acquisition levels of MicroStrategy and these other companies, normally we would typically have MicroStrategy every 2 to 3 to 4 months. We'd have some other random company like the other Metaplanet. Well, they purchased $3 million worth of Bitcoin. And then years ago, we used to have a lot of mom and pop stories. There was some bread company. They purchased, I think, $500,000 worth of Bitcoin years ago. There was some other company. They purchased $1 million. We get stories like this every now and again. We didn't have daily. We didn't have this company, that company, this one, this new company, this other company who bought 2 million before. They just bought 47 million. They're trying to raise 113. It's really excessive at this point. My friend was saying it's so odd, and he thinks obviously someone must know something behind the scenes of extra of what's going on, because even MicroStrategy going from purchasing 2,000 Bitcoin at any given time and then raising that up to 47,000 and 51,000 and 55,000. It's obvious that they're trying to front run the US. Got that. But it seems like desperate at this point. It feels almost like everyone sees that they have a faucet, but they don't realize that if they turn it on that there's nothing inside of it, that kind of thing. So on top of all the news that we've been getting, the good news continuously rolls out every single day. I'll try and be as honest as I can, or tell you things as I personally see it. But we've gotten to the point where if you don't actually own crypto, excuse my French, I think you're screwed. I mean that in a real, honest, specific kind of way. We were talking about allocations into coins this cycle. And my friend was telling me that he's basically kind of put all his cards on the table. He found about like 7 or 8 different altcoins that performed extremely well, or rather have yet to re-hit their previous all-time high this cycle. And then he found a bunch of other coins, and he's looking into meme coins because he also realized, as I told you before, there's this really weird thing where these coins and these AI coins and all these other things, they obviously outperform Bitcoin and Ethereum because they have lower market caps. But and he is as well, tired of hearing these news stories of somebody who put $800 into something and then they ended up making $146,000 from it. Because at the end of every cycle, we see news like that, and I actually look through it. And I often see, this is from my vantage point, I often see that if I had put $1,000 in October, the year of the halving, by the end of next year, I would have had 100, 200,000 from that. So I told you in another video, like I'm really like, choosing where to put my money. And I've purchased multiple different brand new altcoins, sprinkling the wealth around, trying to see exactly what the end of this cycle is going to be like. If you're not on Twitter or you don't peruse as often as I do every now and again, every analyst is saying still the exact same thing. The expectations for the market, where alt season's going to go, how high in price certain coins are going to go by the end of March, by the end of June. Like, it's actually quite... The word's not breathtaking, but it's causing me to like actually hold my breath, because I know that all these things are actually possible as far as like getting back to the previous all-time high, like of altcoins, especially the larger ones, and then actually like doubling or tripling or quadrupling in price. Like, we've seen it multiple times before. It's not out of the realm of possibility. Anyway, rant slightly over, but on top of that, we're getting a lot of like extra adoption news. This is why I said before, and I've been saying in multiple other videos, and even crazier, like this is how you know like true friendship. We were having dinner. I had a lasagna and it was like too hot. So I was like just sitting there listening to him as I'm like holding it on the fork, waiting for it to cool. And he said, he was like, what's really weird? He said he's been trying to tell his family about crypto for the last couple of years. I sat him down years ago and I was like, listen, I found this amazing thing. Like, it is absolutely incredible. I think it's going to go places. You should get into it. Took him about 2-3 months to finally jump into it. And now he understands. He understands money. He understands inflation. He understands economic policies, all these different things. He's like really, really into it. Having come upon a large amount of money from the last cycle, he's been telling his family, like basically being like, I need all of you to get into the market right now. Without spreading too much of his life. He has money now. Got it? Cool. But he realizes that his family doesn't. And he's like, he doesn't want to continue to be their personal ATMs. He's basically telling them like, hey, you need, I can help you get your own money kind of thing. And he says every time that he talks to them, like, no one's interested. Nobody wants it. No one cares. His family's like, no, it's too expensive. Like, well, like, what if the prices go down? And he's like, what if it goes up? Yeah, I was thinking about taking a trip somewhere. He's been trying to tell them for years and no one actually gets there. So he was like, as I said, he was like, I think people like being poor. And it sounds terrible to like say those words out loud. And I'm not saying like a blanket across everyone. I do not and cannot know what everyone's economic or life situation is. But for those who are capable, when you tell your friends and your family who you know are spending tons of money every weekend, going out partying, purchasing things they should not be purchasing or buying, or leasing 3 cars when they live by themselves, they live in a 2-bedroom, it's just them, they should be in the studio, all this extra spending, and you try and explain to people like what investing like $200 a month could lead to over the course of multiple years, $500 a month, like that kind of thing. And then they don't care. There's no like actual desire in their minds. He says he thinks it's also part of a, like, people are just kind of stuck in the loop. I remember being younger. I must have been around 15, 16, 17, somewhere around there. And I was told that I basically had to start working as many other people have had to do. So I started working in my school's library. And then when I got a bit older, I worked in a comic book shop. I worked in a retail store, and I worked, where was the other place? I don't remember right now. But I was told, and I was given this idea that like, this is it. This is adulting. You need to work. You keep your head down. And I was always told about the magic of like going to university, spending money on it. You'll get it back when you work. And also this like getting into debt, like it's just like the system. It's what everyone was told. It's what we were told to do. And then I realized early on that that was like all a lie, that there were people who like don't work for their money. There's like the people like the money makes money itself by investing it, and it continues growing. And then when you make enough money, use that to buy an asset. And you kind of keep this ball rolling, and this is how you get like this hyper generational wealth. And then I sat there and I was like, why isn't everyone doing this? Not from like a skeptical standpoint, but more like a you can mathematically prove that this works. You can even see the stock market going down over the course of a 90-year period in the charts. You see that you see it go up and then go down and then go up and then go down. But the downs are never as heavy as when it actually went up. So you can see over the course of 3 generations that people made huge amounts of money and continue to have huge amounts of money. I don't know why I'm thinking about it, but if you've never seen this show, Succession, disservice to yourself. It is one of the best shows ever. And it kind of like accurately shows like what big money is like and how they think and how money moves, and this kind of like expectation that like it's kind of just the normal thing to do to. Anyway, if you get a chance to watch Succession, it's one of the best. Like even like the ending of the show was good, which is also like a really rare thing. Most shows do not end like standing ovation, like wow, that was incredible. So definitely go watch that one. Anyway, all this always comes to my mind simply because of the array of news that we continue to get. And when I notice interest waning in crypto, if prices are going up, everyone loves it. Everyone's clapping. Everyone's joyous. But the moment, as I said, that prices go down a bit, like people lose sight so quick. We are... And I mean, this is the year. Hear every single word that I'm saying right now. If everything happens as we've been hearing it, and it doesn't seem dramatically far-fetched, we are going to see Bitcoin reach $1 million. We are going to see adoption rates fly so high that Bitcoin's supply is like so strained already. And this is what I have been saying, why I think so many of these companies are jumping in right now. And it's not even just, once again, the entire like US buying it, but it's the individual states that keep getting me. If you missed it recently, I couldn't remember this guy's name at dinner. My friend remembered. His name is Dennis Porter, Porter. He is quite prominent on Twitter. He's been stating he's been spot on. Dennis Porter and Dr. Profit, like I think it's spelled out Doctor. I think it's spelled out Dr. Profit. That guy's also like his price predictions for Bitcoin are like scarily accurate. He's been calling it for months. He's like, no, like we're going down to 47. No, okay, now we're going to go up to 77. We're going to stand there for a while, and then we're going to move up to 80 something. We're going to move up to 96. We're going to fall down a little bit. Okay, we're going to 103. He's been calling everything, even like the recent movement down to like 92. He called all of it. His next calls are, I believe, near the end of this month. He's talking about like I think $125,000 to $130,000 Bitcoin. And he's been, really like on it. Dennis Porter, who is the co-founder of the Satoshi Action Fund, has been basically, if you've been missing a lot of the news, like I said, I know everyone doesn't watch every single video, shame on you. What we've been seeing is that a lot of news reports have been coming out that people from the Satoshi Action Fund have actually been talking with congressional members and mayors and other things like that from different states within the United States. And basically the news that we've been getting was Connecticut, Texas, Florida, you name it. We only had around 6 different states who had spoken with the Satoshi Action Fund about actually like adopting Bitcoin, like now. Like I'm not talking about in 2028 or 2031. This year. Like this year, this is going to happen. They're drafting up actual legislation for the state to like legally have it on the books. We are required by law to accumulate this amount of Bitcoin every month or every day or every week or whatever the actual time frame that they're trying to do it is. He says that there are now 13 states. If you remember, in the middle of December, I said by the time we get to summer, June, July 2025, I was expecting 15, 16, 17 different states. He says that there are currently 13 states who are working on it. What people keep misunderstanding, or that they probably don't grasp or don't find as interesting, because everyone's used to this like hyper crazy MicroStrategy, BlackRock kind of news. When we heard that Florida, for those of you who missed it, is also going to be adopting a strategic Bitcoin reserve, Florida's planning on putting initially $1.3 billion into Bitcoin. This has a very crazy cascade effect. If one state puts $1 billion into Bitcoin and Bitcoin's price rises by 25%, that state has become wealthier. The other states then go, we need to do the exact same thing. We don't really have a choice because they're going to outrun us. When you have 13 states already talking about it, and then we get to the point where 18 start talking about it, and then 24 begin to do the exact same thing. This is all before the like actual like country as a whole even has their own Bitcoin reserve, which is going to be separate from the other states. People look up to power in a certain way and think differently about it. If you hear that the state that this thing that you've ignored 5, 6, 7 years, you heard your friend talk about it, you heard your so-and-so talk about it, the thing called Bitcoin, it doesn't sound that interesting. You hear on the news that your state is beginning to buy Bitcoin, you're going to have around 0.5%, 1%, 2% of the population of that state who's not into crypto go, this is big. Why is the state buying this thing that I brushed off for a while? And you keep adding that up to millions of extra people just across the United States who get in initially. This is them hearing about it on the news. This is them seeing the price go up. This isn't the people who even like rush into it when it hits $1 million. When we were talking during dinner, my friend said if everything works out, he doesn't really know how to handle it, kind of. Me and him, we've dealt with crypto as kind of like a real long-term hold. So he's taken profits and yada, yada, yada. I still have all my coins that I've had for a while. He's seen it as like this. You put some money in, you make a lot of money, you pull it out, you can buy property, you can go traveling, you can do like this kind of thing. He was like, you realize if we get multiple states announcing that they're going to start buying Bitcoin, like other countries will begin to do the exact same thing. If these other countries begin to do it and more people start mining it and more people start buying it, and then, you know, the US as a country begins to do it, and then Canada does it, he was like, it'll tumble out of control. And he said, it'll get to the point where I know that I can never, ever sell my Bitcoin. I know that like I would be a fool not to push more money into Bitcoin, to accumulate as much as I possibly can, because I know that other places are like definitely doing it as well. He was like, then what happens when it hits $1 million? What happens when it goes to like 2.5 million? He said, I'll sit there being like, I should have sold more things or whatever, put more money into it to buy more of it. But then I'll think like of how many other people don't have it. And he was like, what happens to people who don't have one? It's crazy. Friendship is nuts. Like when I think something, he always says it as well. He's like, what happens to people who don't have 1 million Satoshis, like 0.01 Bitcoin? He's like, what do these people do? You understand that Bitcoin is going to become like the actual like currency of the world. People keep thinking of it as this like price go up, money go higher kind of thing. This level of adoption, the word is not even unprecedented. This is leading us into a world where everything is priced in Bitcoin. If you missed the other video a couple of days ago, that guy from Fidelity, we were going over it again. The guy from Fidelity who was talking about, he said, by the year 2038, if all of these adoption levels, if all this money, if yada, yada, he said by 2038, Bitcoin might be at $1 billion. And my friend was like, what would people do? On both ends. He said, if you have an entire Bitcoin, he's like, you are set. Like you're not like partially set, like you are set forever for life. And he said, imagine these companies who have like 30,000 Bitcoin. He's like, you can't tell them anything. Like they are like extremely wealthy. There's a huge amount of wealth in these companies. And then he was like, what about like people who I know who don't have any, who don't even have like 2,000 Satoshis? And like, I was like, yes, please give me your answer. I was like, I would also love to know what's going to happen. Like, this is such a crazy year. This is like actual life-changing historical moments that we're witnessing. I try my best to get everyone to pay attention as much as possible. I know many of you are. Believe me, I've seen the comments. I've seen people being like, TMI, we're listening. But for the other 99% who aren't, this is insane. And I'm going to say when. When we get to February, when we get to March, and I assume by then a lot of the legislation has been passed, has been written, has been so and so and so. We start getting the first couple of states to really push this through. I think madness is actually going to ensue. Not in like a fake way, but I mean like a real like madness will sweep the world where everyone who made fun of it before is going to be forced to start buying Bitcoin in different amounts, however much that people can actually handle or can actually afford. I know I go over this all the time, and not even, it's just news every single day. But I find it perplexing that there are still people, mathematically, there's someone listening to this right now who doesn't ever want to own Bitcoin. Think about it. Mathematically, someone listening to this right now is like, I prefer this, I prefer that. And it's like, I don't know what to tell you. I sincerely like wish you the best. Like, I hope that it works out for you. It's not a joke. I'm not being cynical. Like, I don't know what to tell you anymore. The writing isn't on the wall. It's everywhere. You blink, it's on all four walls. It's on the ceiling. It's on the floor. It's in your palm. It's written everywhere. It's on the computer. We are in for quite a shock, I think, in a multitude of ways. I don't know the exact time frame for it, but every economic website is talking about the countries beginning to print money. We know that China is starting very soon. I've heard and seen through the internet grapevine that apparently the U.S., I think within the first quarter, the Fed is expected to also print several like $100 billion to begin to sprinkle around as well. And people think just from not only the normal, like, it's like not even a perfect storm. It's like a hyper, I don't even know. Between alt season running by itself, from the normal halving, from the states and cities buying up Bitcoin for their own reserve, the US doing it, everyone else who's also going to be doing it as well, the extra money that's going to be flowing, the interest rates dropping, this extra money that people will have to be able to push into the market, the upcoming potential tax breaks that we've been hearing about, which is also something that is, I mean, major. Like, all this stuff is lining up. I still, because I don't want to sound crazy, so I have to continuously tell myself a 200 to $300,000 Bitcoin. These are the numbers that I'm sticking with as like where I think we're going to go. If everything works out, I mean, we're pushing towards $1 million per coin. As always, if anything I say here sounds crazy, Google it. You have the entirety of human knowledge is at your fingertips all the time. I know we use it for Instagram. I know we use it for other websites. If anything I say sounds crazy or you need to verify it, even though I'm showing you on the screen and stuff like that, Google it. Look it up and really understand what's happening. It's being tremendously downplayed. Of course, as I said before, you can't have this in like everyday news. I think it's going to actually cause a panic. And I think the real panic begins at $1 million. Like, and I mean it sincerely. I don't know what people are going to do for the future. I really actually, when we were talking, I was saying, I remember screaming at people years ago, being like, if you put $200 into Bitcoin, you'd have 0.01. And everyone being like, 200 is way too much. At 100,000, I was talking to him and I was like, how many people do you know right now who have 1,000 that they can push into Bitcoin to get, 1/100th? And he was like, almost no one that he knows personally. He's like, everyone he knows is struggling. They're trying to get Social Security and their rent is too high and all this other stuff. And I was like, imagine the look on their faces when it'll take 10,000 US dollars to buy 1/100th of a Bitcoin. Like, it's insane to think about that. This is exactly where we're heading. As I always state, you are early. Count yourself incredibly lucky because you don't understand what's happening. We are days away, 2 months away from, I think, all of this really having like an actually dramatic effect on the cryptocurrency market. Yeah, a bit of a different video. I didn't plan on it being this way. It's just more of it's bizarre that people aren't paying attention. And it's very, very weird. After all this stuff, even after we heard last year, and was it October, from the CEO of BlackRock, he was like, yeah, Bitcoin's going to be a world currency. Bitcoin's going to $1 million. He's saying all this stuff. And I'm like, you know how much money these people have, like the influence that they control. Anyway, yeah, we're here. We're in 2025. We're in the bull run. We are in all of it. We're standing right in the middle, basically waiting for like announcements to be made at this point. I do hope that you've all enjoyed. I hope you all have a great day. Thank you all once again for watching the video, liking the video, commenting on the video, and subscribing to the channel. And I will most certainly be talking to you all soon. See you.